What do you want to talk about today?
Today, I want to talk about standardization.
What about it?
I think we say the word standardization a lot, and we haven't really defined it super clearly. There's a lot of things you could standardize. So what do we mean when we say that?
Cool.
I think it's a good place to start.
All right, let's do it. But before we hop into it, just want to give a quick shout out to our podcast producer, Share Your Genius. I never know what I'm doing when it comes to anything with a podcast, and I could never do this alone. So Share Your Genius has come in and taken such a load off of us and made it so much easier for us to get our words, our point of view, and our conversations out there with absolute seamlessness. So if you're someone who wants a podcast production team to help you fuel your marketing strategy, then look up Share Your Genius. They're a B2B content agency, and they help small teams make big impacts through strategy, content, and relationship building. So hit up our friends at Share Your Genius.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Share Your Genius.
Thanks, Share Your Genius. All right. So I know that we've been thinking a lot in our private conversations lately all about standardizing, because everyone has a different definition of it. And we've been trying to figure out what that even means to us and the best way to explain it, because it's arguably the most important part of the process that we take people through and what we've had to do with ourselves as well. As we've scaled beyond 20K months, and all roads lead to it, because you can't do anything without it.
No, it is definitely the linchpin in the process. And originally, I felt like standardization was just the offer, like just that sales page. Just like if you could standardize that thing, you're going to be pretty good. And I ran that play for a long time, and I realized that it's much bigger than just the offer.
That's so interesting that you say that. So in your mind, it was like, if we get the offer standardized and people come to your sales page and see it, then it'll make sense, make the sales process easier, and you get the client. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's not untrue, but it wasn't the full definition. Like, it didn't end up being the full picture of it. And now, upon reflection, having done this like 50 plus times, I realized that. And it's not that we weren't doing these things either. It was just they weren't named. And so spent more time dissecting it, parting it out, and really naming it. And so basically what we've drilled into is the standardization that needs to take place in order to achieve the goal is of the offer, the marketing, the sales process, and the engagement process. And they all kind of bleed into each other in a lot of ways. They don't happen in isolation. There's a lot of overlap between these things. But to part them out and look at them individually makes life so much easier.
Yeah, I think another thing that is probably leaning towards this reflection and reimagination of the word is the fact that it does mean something different once you hit a certain revenue wall. So like at first, it really is all about the offer. But once you reach a certain point, you can't delegate, you can't automate, and you can't do strong marketing or content if you don't have like all of these items going through a standardization process. Like there's just no way. So would you agree with that? Like, does it change as you grow?
I think the need for all of the variables become more important as you grow. The need for a standardized sales process, in my opinion, is always necessary, but it doesn't really become a problem until you start growing or you're trying to close a gap in your revenue or how many clients you have, like if you're trying to standardize things so that you can grow a business, that's when you start to notice it. Right? It's hard to grow a thing or teach other people how to do a thing. Not that the people we're working with necessarily are teaching or trying to offload part of their sales process, but it is the easiest way to know what does and doesn't work. And that's usually where the wheels fall off for people on the sales side. But again, the whole idea is simple. The more you grow, the more acute the pain becomes in individual areas.
I felt that so personally in my experience. I was able to cobble my way through a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think you can cobble your way pretty damn far too.
You can wing it. You can wing it to 20K months. It's really, really hard to keep winging it after that. It just changes. The pressure, like, whoosh, just like sucks you in and you're like, oh God, I can't take any more of whatever I'm doing. Like, there's no way. I couldn't take on one more client without dying, you know? Like, we've had clients tell us that too.
Yeah. Which is like, you definitely, no one wants to say no to the money.
Who wants to say no to money?
Literally no one I know.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about these individually.
All right, let's do it.
Standardization of the offer. The offer, in my opinion, is a combination of a few really basic factors, which we've talked about in detail, but like just to define it again: the problem you solve, the person you solve for, the process you use to solve it. So like people want to see like the thing that you do. Like they want to answer the question like, what does Erica do? And if they can't answer that question, odds are no one's gonna give a shit. Like the odds of you being able to sell a thing drop significantly. How do you get people to even consider that question? You solve a meaningful problem to a person who treats it that is an urgent problem to that person, as a valuable problem to that person. All of this stuff is pretty straightforward in terms of the things we've spoken about before. So we don't need to go into much more detail of that. Generally, the offer manifests itself as your sales page. That is like the tangible thing. Like you see the sales page and you're like, here's all the stuff. Like, cool. Easy peasy. So the next logical thing for people though is, how do I get people to see my offer? We should market it. The standardization of the marketing process is something that we have put a lot more effort into over the last like 6 to 9 months with the creation of the MP3 framework.
Market the problem, market the process, market the proof.
It's a new lens on content marketing for like solopreneurs and micro agencies. So it's a really simple approach, and it standardizes the entire process for you because you're not sitting there scratching your head and being like, what the hell should I write about?
Yep.
And the reason you can even write about those things is because you standardized your offer. So you know what problem you're trying to solve, so you can write about it.
We have to pause here. I have so many thoughts and feelings on this. I just have to say this. I have taken people's money who wanted to have better content or more control over how thoughts move from their brain to their keyboard and put them out in a way that resonates. And I have spent months and months, up to a year with one person, making them better at content. And it was all for absolutely nothing because she ended up finally figuring out the offer, like refining the offer down to a much simpler version of what she was doing. And now all of that conditioning we've done around all of her skills doesn't really matter because it's like, it's all just about this other new thing. My point is this. I'm obsessed with content. I am your content girl. Like I've been a content person for my entire life. But content is a tool. It's an arrow. And if you point it in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter how fast it flies, how beautiful the shot was. It doesn't matter if it lands in the wrong place. And it's a problem. That's why we came together in the first place. Like you have to know where you're sending people with your content. Content for content's sake is a waste of time. And so the MP3 framework is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But on its own, if it's not pointed towards a problem that you solve and a solution that you have for that problem, it's useless. So that's why the problem comes first.
Yeah,
I just had to get on my soapbox for a second there.
Well, the problem is the solution. That's the point. That's the aha. Like that was the aha for me years ago. And it's been the strategy ever since.
It's tough, especially if you come from in-house where you're not directly tethered to the problem that the company that you work for solves, or it doesn't really matter. Like you're just doing checkbox marketing. All that matters is that the content is quote unquote high quality.
That it has been smeared across the internet.
Yeah, just get it on the internet. And when you are marketing for yourself, it's very hard to go from, well, I'm producing high quality content, so it'll just market my business. It's like, no, absolutely not. Like it has to be tethered to a thing. Even if you were involved in that company's strategy, it's just, there's something different that happens when you do it for yourself. It feels more personal, becomes more personal. It's much harder to learn the problem stuff than the content stuff if you're a content person. I wish I learned it earlier.
A quote from Christopher Lochhead always comes to mind.
Go for it.
From in a situation like this. He says, marketing that doesn't drive revenue now is called arts and crafts.
Exactly.
And so the type of content that you're describing that gets smeared all over the internet is arts and crafts because they don't care if it drives revenue or not. And especially they don't care if it drives revenue now. When you work for yourself, you are required to do marketing that drives revenue now. Otherwise, you don't eat. They turn the lights off. They repossess your car. Like whatever the thing is. Like
you can do arts and crafts if you want to be an influencer and prove that you can capture people's attention with whatever. But that's not us. That's not the people we're marketing to. That's not.
Well, we're
that's not
after
how you grow a service-based business.
The goal is not to be an influencer. It is to have influence. And so based on what we've done for ourselves and what we've done with clients, the MP3 framework has proven to be the most effective way to do that. And it's just easy. It shortcuts the entire process. So standardize the marketing. So now we have a thing, we have a problem we're solving, and we have a thing that solves it. We have an offer. We can go and deploy that thing. And the structure of that is simple and easy to understand, standardized. Now we have a way of conditioning the market, telling people that this thing exists, tethering ourselves to this area of expertise in this problem, and showing that we're credible and competent, all that shit through the MP3 framework. All right, now we're like, then you end up in a situation where you need to sell the thing.
Uh-oh. What do I do now? I've got leads.
Uh-oh. Okay, so here's an interesting just thing about this work is that, and we've talked about this, but it always bears repeating. It's like there's no such thing as passive revenue.
Oh God, no, there is not.
We've beaten this drum. We've beaten this thing to death. So we don't need to talk about it in excruciating detail. But if you're selling courses or whatever that has anything with a cart, like, will this help you sell it? Sure. But you also still have to be very aggressive with your marketing to sell it. There's no amount of set it and forget it that will move the thing. Period, full stop. Okay. Now that that's been said, the majority of the people are going to offer a professional service. And in order to sell a professional service, you need to talk to other humans. You need to build relationships with people. A thing that people have like this weird aversion to. I don't really understand.
I don't understand
why.
that either. If you're in the business of serving other people, you're going to have to talk to them.
Well, the people we know and the people I've interviewed and just like through the conversations I've had over the years, it has become abundantly clear that if you have held even one sales job in your life, I don't care if you were selling, if you worked in retail in high school, that's a sales job in a lot of ways. I mean, every job is sales. I don't care what profession you're in, you're a salesperson. If you have held a sales job at any point in your life, you have a significant advantage over everyone else. If you have had a real, like a named sales job and you have been trained as a salesperson at any point in your life, you have even more of an advantage.
I completely agree with this. Does being a cashier at a fast food restaurant where you're tasked with upselling the cheese.
Yes.
Does that count?
Counts.
Okay.
Yes.
All
you know
right.
why it counts? Because you have to ask people for shit, things they didn't ask for.
Okay.
And you get told no a lot,
True.
right? Just even the desensitization that occurs when you're like, do you want to add cheese to your burger? And people say no to you. Like hearing no, I don't care in any context. You're like, ugh,
Yeah.
like I don't like that.
All right. So I had a little practice with that, but I never considered myself a salesperson. And in fact, I hated salespeople because when I was...
That's it though. Keep going, but that's the thing. Hating salespeople.
All right, let's circle
is a
back.
Part of,
I'm going to tell you why though. And I wonder if other people have experiences in their own way that makes them feel kind of averse to learning sales. But my quick story is when I was a technical project manager at this app startup called Level Up in Boston for a couple of years of my life, there was this sales guy named Justin. I hope he never listens to this, but you know who you are.
Justin.
Fucking Justin. And he was like the top salesperson. He was so rich. He had so much commission. And he always gave me his deals because I was arguably like the best. I was just good at my job, you know. I'm confident, not cocky. Anyway, I hated him though, because he knew that I was going to do a good job cleaning up his fucking mess because he sold them on shit that didn't exist and then told them that we'd build it. And then he like got his commission, went off to his fucking fancy life. I wasn't getting shit for all the extra work I had to put in with the emotional toll of the back and forth bullshit. Anyway, so that's why I hated salespeople, long story short. Go back to your point though, like, okay, so that's the thing. Everyone hates salespeople.
So like that feeling is the thing that prevents people from doing sales.
Honestly, I once I saw Devin Reed and Jen Allen Knuth, I was like, oh, okay, there are nice salespeople. It was until then that I hated salespeople.
Well, I guess like I've held a sales job.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, sales is just a thing. Like they rewire your brain in sales jobs to tell you that sales is not something you do to people. It's something you do with and for people. And sales is very much helping people make a decision. And I mean, are there people who treat it as if they are doing it to you? For sure. Like there's a bunch of slimy people in every profession. So like, hey, it is what it is. But standardizing the sales process and being proactive. So sales, I'm going to combine biz dev and sales in this conversation, but basically marketing's job. The marketing strategy is simple. Make the problem highly visible to everyone who experiences it. That's the whole strategy. Now, when we think about that, the marketing as an activity opens up engagement loops. So it creates the opportunity for you to engage with someone else, especially on LinkedIn. It's like stupid easy to do it on LinkedIn. I don't care how many impressions or likes or comments you get. You publish something, people comment and like on it, and that's an opportunity for you to have a human interaction with somebody else. You go out and comment on someone else's thing, and it opens up an opportunity for you to have a human interaction with somebody else. A massive missed opportunity is responding to other people's comments on other people's posts. Like, I don't get why people don't do this. LinkedIn is the only place that this doesn't happen. I don't know if you're on Instagram, if you ever heard of that place. People respond to every comment. Strangers talk to strangers in the comments.
That's true. That does happen a lot more on
LinkedIn
Instagram.
doesn't happen. It is the author of the post and one person going back and forth. And every once in a while, you'll see someone chime in. But for the most part, it's like people trying to expert in the comments and then the author responding to that. Maybe there's like more than one back and forth, but it's very rare. And that's it. No one really ever responds to other people's comments on LinkedIn. It makes no sense to me. This is such an opportunity to build relationships with other human people by doing a normal human thing.
I think it's because commenting has become tasked. Go leave your 10 to 20 comments and then go on with your day.
Yeah, well, that's because we try to like commodify everything. So, yeah. Hey, but this is the point, right? Everyone who's doing all that dumb shit of leave your 10 to 20 comments, like would I tell somebody like how many comments is enough? Like when you're done.
Yeah. You'll feel
like,
it.
You'll just know when you're done. You will at some point probably reverse waterfall this thing and you're going to know, hey, if I leave 20 comments on other people's comments, I get one conversation started, one real genuine conversation. So this is what I was saying earlier, which is like, there's a lot of overlap between the standardization of these things. So the point is open the engagement loops, go into sales, and through marketing, standardize the sales process. Talking about BD, go out and start conversations with people. Go, if you don't have access to the people you're trying to sell, go get them. Like, are you willing to go get it? And all of that is the process of closing the engagement loops. And we've talked about like different ways to approach that conversation, to reach out to someone and say, thanks so much for leaving a thoughtful comment on my post, or commenting on their thing and saying, hey, your post made me think about a thing in a way that I never thought about it before.
Yeah, 100%.
Like normal shit, not like I'm looking to connect with people doing good work and then you pitch slap them 2 days later or something. Like,
and that's another thing. It's like people just get pitch slaps like crazy.
Right. So everyone's shields are up and you gotta do human people shit. This is one thing I love about a lead magnet, especially the email courses, like the educational email courses, because one, it's a super compelling thing for other people to opt into, but also once they opt in, you can go and message them and thank them for supporting your work. Again, things we've talked about before. Okay, standardize that activity. That's an activity that I wouldn't suggest people outsource as much as it might be time consuming. You building relationships with people that lead to sales opportunities is probably something that you should be involved in.
Also, the automation that you can do there just also is never...
Well, even just having like your EA do it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't consider that one of the things, as much as I love the idea of having an EA take a lot of stuff off your plate. Relationships and those conversations, that is the highest value stuff.
Totally.
And can lead to the most money.
I agree.
Okay, so we're talking about standardizing the sales process. That's like pre-sales and BD. So let's talk about the sales experience. Standardization there looks like, I describe it as, how do you have your conversation? Most people get on a sales conversation, or any conversation for that matter, and just like go wherever it goes. There's no structure to how you communicate your information. There's no clear direction that you're facing. So if whatever business you're in, there are a lot of other people that do something similar. And even if you're so radically different, people are trying to categorize you and make sense of the thing. So there are comparisons that they're making no matter what the situation is. You have to help them see that it is, in fact, categorically different for whatever reason. And you have to explain like, okay, here's the direction we're facing. This is the power of a point of view in action. Can you internalize that thing and have that conversation? Set up your sales conversation.
Talk people through that, because your sales cascade is life-changing. It has been for me. I have it open on every sales call.
It's like so obvious once you see it.
Crazy. So stupid,
like,
simple.
So once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every conversation follows the same flow. It does. I don't know what it is about the way humans are, but every conversation follows the same flow. And you can plan it or lead it that way. So the leading part of it is take control of your conversations. Like, run your calls. Don't let your calls run you. Like, not to try and be like super aggressive and be like, you can be a normal person and guide the call effectively to be a good coach or to be a seasoned consultant in that way, and show them that you can run a call. That's like a soft skill, like a thing that people don't necessarily realize that they're vetting, but is like, can you shepherd us through this experience? Because if you can get us through this in a clear and concise and logical way, this sets the stage for how you're able to do that in other ways.
Yeah. My favorite part about hopping on sales calls, besides just having this cascade, which is basically just a bunch of questions in the correct order, it's the best way to describe it. But
yeah,
like,
it's an agenda. It's a discovery call agenda.
It's fantastic.
But we call it the cascade, because once people start going, if they just fall down it, people just start cascading and they don't stop.
But my favorite part of it is there's this whole bit at the top. I'm looking at ours right now, and it's like POV talking points. I rarely have to go into any of these talking points because we've conditioned the market. They already know the answers to all of my little talking points. And they start the call by saying, I love what you've been saying. Like, I've got a call in an hour, 45 minutes actually. And this person literally came inbound and said, I've been following your work, you and Nick, and I'm really into it and I want to learn more. So this person has been conditioned. They know our POV. So it's going to not have to be me trying to prove anything to them on the call. They're coming ready to just hear more. And that's going to involve me asking a lot of questions and then giving a couple answers and then getting there.
They want to know how to buy. That's what they want to know. They want to know, how do I buy this thing? Is this the thing that exactly the thing that I'm looking for?
Right.
Now, we are guilty of something, of a crime that we help people avoid committing, but
what did we do?
Thus is the life of an entrepreneur. We don't have the public facing offer updated, like, out there yet.
Okay.
So like this is in progress. So like that would also expedite a lot of this.
Yeah.
We don't like that's in progress. That'll get launched soon. But hey, like we're also human people. And we've talked extensively about how the landing page is not the difference maker in being able to sell an offer.
Absolutely.
So it certainly helps, but it is not the thing. So having it would shortcut a lot of the finer details here. Anyway, here's the point. So the cascade has the POV talking about. So we have to define the point of view first. And that's just you having that conversation with people. Ideally, you don't need your talking points to like in your face because you've internalized your point of view. But the reality is that doing this in a structured way is very new to most people. So give yourself a teleprompter. I tell them like, just go Ron Burgundy on it. Who gives a fuck? Who fucking cares? Just go Ron Burgundy on it and read the teleprompter, because the most important thing is continuity. You need to say the same things across all the channels and also say the same things over and over and over again, right? People need to hear the same message like 8 times before they actually get it through their heads. Isn't that like the whole thing?
Yeah, there's science behind that.
Right. A lot of marketing is repetition. That's how you create the recall. We talk about direction setting. That's talking through the POV. We go into discovery. Discovery takes different shapes. There's a lot of nuance and context to individual discovery based on what you're selling and who you sell it to and the shape of the problem and size of the problem and the urgency and the value and blah, 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 all that stuff.
Yeah.
But major points of discovery are standard across the board. Things like motivation, things like goals, things like what you've tried in the past.
Yep.
Like all of those parts of discovery are pretty, I think everyone should be learning that information from their buyers.
Totally.
Even budget availability, like there's a bunch of basic stuff. Like what's a basic question is like just what is going on inside of your business that motivated you to book this call today? And even if people put that on the form when they book the call, which we ask a few questions in that process, I have found that when you read it and you tell them, hey, you said this, can you provide more context and nuance to what you said here? It's not like people feel like they have to repeat themselves to you and they filled out the form for no reason.
Yeah,
but they're going to give you the juice, right? They're going to give you all the stuff.
You get so much more context from hearing it in their own words too.
By literally just asking for it.
Just asking for it. I love it.
Yes.
It's the best way to kick off the call too. Like you can be like, hey, what's up? Where you at? Whatever. But like,
I cannot fucking stand when people ask me where I am. Can I just like, I know that I'm going to get
soapbox now. All right,
I'm going to get on my soapbox here. The number one way to tell me you have done zero research on me or each other or what the situation that we're in right now is by saying, and where are you calling in from? Like that's the first thing that is on top of anyone's LinkedIn profile is their location. Even if it's wrong, like what am I supposed, the only thing that could pop, like is your time zone, like is that still the correct time zone? Are you still in California? Because I'm in Connecticut, so just make sure that I'm talking to you and we're planning appropriately for when this meeting will be. But like, even if like, oh, I'm sorry, are you in Seattle instead of San Diego? It's still 3 hours ago there. So like whatever, like this is, I just can't stand it because it's the surface level stuff. And maybe because if you listen to podcasts, you can tell the host hasn't done research on their guests when they're talking, when like that's where they start. Anyway, this is like a whole other rant in a rampage. Like do some homework. This person is reaching out to you to buy from you. Or if you ask for the call, if you're talking to someone in DMs or you were introduced to someone and then you've extended the opportunity for them to get on a call with you, have the decency to do a little research in something as simple as looking at their LinkedIn profile and being like, oh, Erica's in New York. Good to know. I've been to New York. Like, just good to know. That's usually the first mental checkbox is like, anyway, okay, I've just got to move past
I'm
this.
just thinking of all the people who've asked you where you're from on calls I've been on with you. And now
I just don't
now when it
get it.
happens again, I'm going to just know.
I feel like I'm opening myself up. You ever seen that episode of It's Always Sunny when they're like, rude man who shushes, please call. Like they got to a bar and they got shushed. And so they put flyers out everywhere and they were like, rude man who shushes, please call this number. They're like, we're going to find the shusher and we're going to tell him to fuck off. And then they put out the flyers and then they just got a bunch of people calling them and shushing them on the phone.
Oh my
And so I was like,
God.
this is me right now where every time I feel like anyone who hears this is going to book a call and just ask me where I
For sure, yeah, you've
like I'm
opened up a
definitely
door.
opening myself up to that. But that's fine. I've accepted my fate. Okay, so get on the call. You set the direction. We do some discovery. Discovery takes a lot of shapes. We standardize the discovery process, but even within that, there's a laundry list of really basic things that we should all be discovering at that phase, like in that part. Okay, from there, there's this shift that takes place in the call. We all feel the energy shift. It goes from we're building rapport, we're chatting, you're telling me stuff, I'm sharing points, like my point of view with you on what you're telling me. We're going back and forth. And then the energy shifts from here's my situation to where do we go from here? And if you don't read the room or know how to capture that shift, AKA this is the pitch. We go into pitch mode, but people don't know exactly how to pitch because they don't know what to pitch. And there are a few things that happen, right? Again, standardize this experience. So we talk about all the trigger words that you tell people, what questions do you have for me? I understand your situation, what you're trying to do here makes total sense. What questions do you have for me? That shifts the call from we'll build rapport and we'll chit chat to this is like, let's get into like this, the details. When you get there, you get the two types of buyers. And it doesn't really matter because now you know how to handle it. There's people who have purchased stuff like this before and people who haven't. The people who have purchased this stuff before know what questions to ask, and they're going to ask the same 4 questions. They're going to say, what do you do? How do you do it? What does an engagement look like? And how much does it cost? That's what they're going to ask you. Communicate that in a structured way. The people who have not purchased stuff like this before are going to say, I'm not really sure what to ask. I'm just not sure. I would love to kind of maybe to like understand kind of a little bit more how it works. And it's your job to standardize this experience. Most people are looking to understand exactly what I do so that they can understand how I do that. They want to know and then you just take them through it. You have to teach them how to buy your stuff. Because if you don't do it, they're going to be a really shitty client.
Why? Can you just expand on that? What do you mean by
Because
that?
I'll give you a really dumb example, but it'll make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Because it's simple. If people come into a sales process with people they've read all their stuff, very excited, and they're just at the opportunity to work with somebody. They got happy years and they're just like, sure, like how much is it? And they're like, I can afford that. Let's do it. And if you don't go through the what do you do, how do you do it, and what the engagement process is like, you might get in the client engagement. They go, so when do we rewrite? When do we redesign the website? And you're like, that's not something we do.
Yep. I've
Right?
been there.
They just like
Fuck,
their
I've been there.
expectations will be upside down.
Yep.
So you have to clearly define that stuff.
I've been on both sides of that. When
do we start running ads? And you're like, what are you talking about? We're not going to run ads. Like, where did you get that? It's like, oh, I thought that was part of this.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to just run through this stuff in a simple, structured way. Okay. Then we go to close. Like, how do you close the deal? How you set clear next steps, standardize the next steps. Most people leave it open-ended. They're like, oh, we'll get back to you. It's like, just tell people how to buy it. You're going to get a proposal. We're going to review it next week together. We're going to agree on the terms. and we'll schedule your kickoff. Like, it just get it, just basic shit.
You know, my favorite question that you ask people at the end, which always like shifts the energy for the better, is there's always kind of a pause after you go through the thing. And then you go, all right, so is there anything holding you back from getting started? And they tell the truth. I didn't expect everyone to be so honest.
It's such a good question.
It's the best question because like people
There's no reason to lie though. Like, right? Like, you don't expect people to answer that truthfully, but they really have no reason to lie.
Yeah. And then you just get it. And then you can talk about, like, they've just given you all their objections and then you can talk about them. It's the best, the best conversation happens after that. I love it.
Or they just go, no.
And then you go, cool. So
when you want to
get started? Like, it's magic.
Yeah, it's a legendary question.
I love it.
Okay, we're gonna speed through engagement process because it's a simple one, but we'll unpack. But it's simple, but there's so much to it, so we can go deeper into that in the future. Standardize the engagement process. This is also where, like, this is a big one that really creates the opportunity for the delegation automation stuff.
It's the only way. How could you can't create SOPs on something you haven't standardized.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like if the volume and frequency of the tasks and activities you're performing are not there, you can't really delegate stuff that you don't do more than once. And
Exactly.
you can't automate tasks that are not process driven. So we look at the engagement process from a really simple lens in the beginning, which is how often do you meet with your clients? How do you communicate with your clients? And how do you track progress, right? Like, let's just get the basics. And then it's through, like, when we dig into the how do you track progress? So it's like, oh, well, we track everything in Notion. Great. Well, let's look at what you're doing there. That's where we got to dig in and say, it's like, okay, where is the actual process and procedure here? So that we can get more organized. Not to say that every deliverable and everything is the same, but we've talked about this before. I run the same play. We run the same play with all our clients. And yet the outcome is still different in that not all offers are the same. Not all content is the same. And that's like the whole point. Like, but you have your procedure, your process is already very well defined. So you're taking people through this roadmap, and having all of that shit laid out sets you free, because one, it improves your time to value created exponentially. The more you do a thing, the better you get at it. Who would have thought? So when let's do the same things over and over and over again and improve that process, and you'll never stop improving. But you'll also sometimes make improvements, quote unquote, in the wrong direction. And you'll learn from that too. Either way, you want to continue to optimize your workflow. You'll take things out, you'll put them back in, you'll change shit. Who gives a fuck? The whole point is that you're trying to improve your process, and you can only improve a process once you've created it. So we can talk about some of the things that we do to like implement what we would consider to be like a curriculum. I don't know a better word for it, but it's like basically like your roadmap or the thing.
It's the roadmap, I think, makes the most sense.
Yeah.
How are you going to take me from A to B? Well, we're going to go through these 4 steps.
Bingo, bango.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a good.
That was fast and furious. I've ranted a lot today.
I loved it. So ever since you got on your soapbox about not knowing that you live in Connecticut, which, by the way, Nick lives in Connecticut. For all those people who are going to be assholes about it, now you know the answer.
Yes.
Don't go stalk him, though.
Ask me how I like living in Connecticut. That will open up a whole other can of worms for you to discuss. So,
all right.
Until next time,
my people,
my people.
my Nick. Goodbye.
What?